Hello everyone and welcome back to the LSI F1 World Championship. We're today for the Singapore Grand Prix Round 3 out of 14. We begin the final 12 races of the season, which would have been a whole season last time around. But this is season 14. We've got two more to the calendar. That was the Netherlands and the Austrian Grand Prix that we've just gone past, as Heisler is absolutely sending it here in qualifying to try and compete for that top spot. Some very weird camera angles. We're now... Oh no, I thought that was JJ going slowly, but JJ actually has decided to move on as Heisler invalidated. Going very quick in that first sector though. Unfortunately, they will not go any further. We have Zingy, the championship contender, who is on their lap to try and improve to see if they can compete for that pole position, as well with Sir Maxon, currently a 26.084 on pole as the championship leader. The first time Ferrari has competed for a championship title since season 7 with Mr. Alter 4. Aston Martin won that team's championship in the end. Talking about Aston Martin, Eager Pro, they've had a very good start to the season in Austria, some good points in the Netherlands. Can they get a good result around a circuit that they love and have had pole position at in the past before? Zingy comes around the final few corners. 7 minutes on the clock. Plenty of time in this session. A bit of sliding on the exit. They're not going to be happy with that one. It's an improvement, but not enough to get right to the top. They've got their teammate who has set a lap time fairly recently. They are going once again, and they have set an improvement. A big snap of oversteer under braking. That was for Nifo, as they're in the middle sector at this stage of the lap. Now we'll watch them go through the complex of corners. The old Singapore sling that is no longer, but is still a very tight section as you go over the bridge and into the hairpin, sliding the car, getting the car turned in and up to the wall on exit, DRS open, and then we will go to the heavy braking zone where you've got a very soft barrier on the exit, but you still don't want to hit it. It's very easy to hit, and then make sure you stay within track limits as well. Then down what would have been the old tunnel section, you just go heavy braking 75 meters into the final chicane, and that's going to be a big snap there for Nifo, and unfortunately their lap will be done. They go straight to the pit lane, and that will be it for them for now. We welcome Verf to the first LSI F1 race of their career. The Singapore Grand Prix was the race that they first fought for victory in LSI last season. That was F1.5. This is F1. They are a reserve driver for today's race, permanently driving, of course, for Sauber on Saturdays in the F1.5 EU Championship, but they're going to give it a go today to see how they do. Sir Maxon goes and improves by even more, and that is looking very, very good for the Ferrari driver. They took their first ever LSI F1 win, competing against Verf. LSI F1.5 win. That was their first LSI F1 win ever. Oh my god, I've just confused that so much. Their first LSI win ever, competing against Verf for the victory here, and they managed to come out on top with the strategy. It managed to be a pretty entertaining one, that's for sure, and they're hoping to try and get 2 victories around this circuit in 2 different tiers in consecutive seasons. That would be a pretty nice accolade to have, wouldn't it? 25.8 is their current time, and Zingy has got a fair bit to find if they do want to match that top man, and not only that, but compete with them later on in the race. It's not so much of a DRS train circuit. Yes, DRS is key around this place, and it will help a massive amount regardless of where you are in this year's game, but it is less than others, of course, so they do have to make sure that they're careful. No DRS down this section of the track. There should be, but there isn't, and then they come through the final few corners, and Sir Maxon will go to the pit lane, but we just rode on board with the current championship leader. Take it with a pinch of salt, as it is only by a couple of points, and the reports have not been done yet. I do apologise for that. Nobody to blame except from me right there. But we will continue with the season. That is Peanuts P6 at the moment. They've set that improvement, I believe, and that's 0.7, just ahead of Eager Pro. We mentioned that Aston Martin had won the championship a while ago, won the team's championship. They've never won the drivers. They won it under the name of Racing Point with Chris Gitsov back in season 4, but they've never won the drivers championship. Now, Igor won with Aston Martin for the team's championship alongside Cisco in season 7, but he didn't win the Drivers' Championship. Of course, that was Mr. F4. He did win in Season 2, and that was with Ferrari to get the double for the team as well. So can they get a good result and continue their championship fight that they've managed to start off very nicely this season? They start their next lap under the lights. A very, very nice looking Aston Martin. It's a shame that the graphics quality is slightly worse, but that's just the choice from my side, so I do apologise. It is all about the stream performance. We continue through the session. Igor Puri, former pole sitter around this circuit. They do know what they're doing. They can be very quick. Will they have the fortune that this circuit sometimes needs to get a good result? However, that is what time will tell us. In through the next few corners, riding over that curb on entry, really turning in quite aggressively to get the car in. On exit, opening the steering, using the battery, abusing the ERS system that you can in this game. Pull it all the way to the left to open up the corner as you go on the throttle to open up the steering once again to try and reach full, and then into the hairpin. A little bit of a wrestly moment on entry and a big snap on exit. Because of that, that is a hell of a shame right there. It's going to lose them a lot of time into not the hairpin but the 90 degree, and it's not going to quite work. Not really 90 degrees, is it? It's a bit more. It's almost a hairpin. And now the final chicane of the lap. Once again, a little bit oversteery, but they're just going to have to set the lap this time. They've invalidated, and it's going to invalidate their next lap as well. So that will be it for Igor. Igor has invalidated their entire qualifying session. They will not improve. Peanuts retires in the pit lane. That will be it for them. Those are two qualifiers out of this session already. What's going to happen? Will Zingy be able to improve? They've invalidated immediately on their final run. Absolutely incredible. Heischler looking to try and improve. They're going to have the Ferraris around them. That is actually Peanuts' AI car for some reason driving out onto circuit. So that's a very confusing one. Do apologise to see that happen to Heischler, but Heischler manages to navigate it nicely and continues. They go over the sector line. What's it going to be for the orange man? That is a 10th, just under. So currently looking to get ahead of Nifo, but nowhere near Zingy at the moment. They need to find a lot more time around this lap to really make it work. So Maxon is safe from the Scotsman as of now. Are they going to be safe from the Dutchman? The multiple Dutchmen that are going to be quite close. We've got Devon Young, who's also going to give it a shot, but no, they've invalidated. What a shame. A strong circuit for them in the past is not going to work out in the end. In qualifying, P5 still. Great position to start this race. Heischler, purple in the middle sector. 2/10 improvement. It could be enough. If they can find a bit more, could they try and compete against Zingy? If not, Sir Maxon. What's it going to be for Heischler? Is it going to be the front row, or is it going to stay the second row just ahead of Nifojan? Instead, the final two corners come up to the McLaren across the line. DRS for the last meters, and it's going to be a P3 as a brilliant effort to almost get there on Zingy, but not quite in the end. It's going to be Sir Maxon in the pit lane, but still looking at taking that pole time. It's going to be Verf, who goes purple in the middle sector according to the Delta. What's it going to be for the Hungarian? The bill comes through the final few corners. What can they do in qualifying here? Massive pace in F1. Can they find it in the final moments? They can! P5 right there for Nabil. Verf across the line. That's going to be a P5 to take it away immediately. Absolutely incredible as Verf makes it a top 5 qualifying position for their debut in LSI F1. Lovely, lovely, lovely stuff right there. And Sir Maxon continues the good form. This time, for the first time this season, they have managed to start higher than last place on the grid. That is Sir Max on pole, Nifo in P2, and Zingy in P3. That is the rest of it. Nifo jumping ahead, actually. We missed that in the end, and getting ahead of Heischler. So Heischler, in the end, does not start on the... does not start in P3, but Nifo is on the front row of the grid. We'll see you in a bit for the race. Don't go anywhere. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? Zingy on the inside line. Will they have the advantage? They should do. Sir Max on swoops round, but no. The Mercedes comes back through to try and move their way in to the P1, but no, they go on the curb and they're going to lose out. Nifo is going to take the position from their teammate. Oh no, it's not. It's sorry. It's Zingy, of course, because Zingy started in P3. Nifo drops down to P3 in the end after starting on the front row. That's Heischler, P4. We've got Verve, who's looking to go side by side and defend their position from Nabil. Nabil's on the inside. They push them wide. Verve has got a big bit of oversteer, and Devon Young is going to try and follow through as well. It's very, very tight. Devon to the inside line, and they will have the advantage. The Ferrari tries to follow on as well, but they will have to go single file. Devon Young, 9/10 to Nabil. They've got to try and make something work here. In the meantime, Zingy has managed to get into the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of Sir Max Samaxon. That is an absolutely phenomenal effort. Now 7/10 is the advantage. They're trying to put a little bit of pace on to force Samaxon either into a mistake or allow their teammate to pass. That is the strongest way that they can make this work. That is a track extension from Nifojan. Nifo's got a warning in the early stages of this race, and that's something that we're all going to have a look out for. Verf drops down behind Tom Rob. It looks like they're going to be last place after the start of this Grand Prix. Is there something wrong, or they just didn't quite get it right? I don't quite know. They don't seem to have any damage. It's just a little bit tougher in this tier for sure, but they do have what it takes. That's going to be Peanuts with a phenomenal move, I was going to say, but they've gone off the circuit, and the Bill wasn't going to be happy. That's Devon Young, now 1 second away from Heischler, who had a bit of a moment that caused them to go ghosted slightly. That would have probably just been a bit of a loss of traction. They managed to do enough to hold on. It's going to be Samaxon and Nifo side by side just for a moment as they go into turn 7, and Samaxon drops to P3. 7/10 between the two teammates. It's a Mercedes 1-2. Zingy holding that lead, looking to try and continue to make it Zingy poor around the streets. A brilliant start from all of these guys. Heischler holds to P4, making it work quite nicely. Not getting involved in anything too much at the moment. They are the reigning Singapore champion as they won here last time around. What can they do? Devon Young was fighting for that victory but didn't quite get it. They've now got 2/10 to try and be in the lead train to fight for that victory again. But Peanuts is very, very close, and they're not really going to give Devon too much time to think. These guys have been battling in the past before. They know each other well. It's Nabil who's under pressure from Igor, who's made progress from qualifying. JJ following on as well. Tom Rob in P10. Verf still in the train at the moment. It's going to be JJ who loses out all of a sudden to Verf and Tom Rob and goes down to P11 instead. DRS is available and they'll stay in that train. Currently, the gap in the train is here. Devon Young with Heischler just up the road. 6/10. It seems to be extending. It's so tough when you don't have that DRS. He's got to hope that the train ahead bunches up. If the train ahead does bunch up, then that will be absolutely mega. We just saw Devon Young and Peanuts real wheels absolutely kiss that exit curb or exit wall, sorry, I should say, as they went through turn, that was 5 or 6. Pretty impressive to see. Heischler slightly wide off the apex right there as they come into the middle complex of the circuit, but nothing really to worry about. 5/10 away. Something to worry about though is Samaxon away from Nifo, as Zingy and Nifojan are currently leading by quite a nice margin. DRS, does it go to Samaxon? It does not. It does not go to Samaxon. Is it an opportunity for these two to check out? That could be a crucial moment in this Grand Prix. We saw it in Canada in the summer season. Absolutely incredible. That was a very, very good race. Nifojan managed to win one of them races, if not both. I can't quite remember. Nifo's won this race before as well. They know what they're doing. Zingy has won this race 3 times, twice a championship race, once a non-championship race. Both of these cars are very, very quick at this stage of the Grand Prix. Looking at the tyre situation, you can see that we've got a few medium tyre runners, a few hard tyre runners, and we can now explain the reason why Zingy and Nifojan are pushing very hard at the start, and they have the ability to break away. Samaxon, will they try and push on the battery to see if they can try and catch up to the cars ahead? I don't quite know, but they're going to be working together with Heischler. Devon Young, 2.9 seconds. They're still not catching. They're losing time. They've got a lot of pressure behind to do something about it, as Peanuts is on that medium tyre. Splitting strategies with their teammate. That's going to be Igor down the order and going very, very slowly as Tom Rob will go through and Verf will slot in just behind. What happened there between Igor and I don't know if it was another car on the wall, but they've got damage and that's not going to make their race any easier. Verf is going to be looking to try and make a move at some point soon if they can do that, because you don't want to be behind a car that has damage around the circuit like this. 1.8 seconds, Tom Robb and Nabil. There is a gap between these guys now, so multiple trains are formed on the circuit. As expected, a medium tyre though for Peanuts. They're going to want to try and use that advantage that they have and pass Devon within the next couple of corners, if not laps really. So it's going to be an interesting one for a fair few places on the circuit. We do have, of course, Simax on the Heisler on exactly the same tyre, not really losing too much at all to the top two, as Simax has managed to find a bit of pace, and they may have just crossed over that DRS line to bring them back into it, and that could be a crucial moment in the race. They do. That rear wing is wide open. Absolutely brilliant stuff right there, and that is going to be incredibly impossible for Nifo and Zingy to break away at this point. 4 laps in, and that hard tyre, although still got a bit of a way to go, isn't going to get any slower. Although the medium should still be faster at this stage, it is only going to be slower than the hards as time does go on. And Simaxon getting a massive tow from that advantage. It is a brilliant effort, and it's now only 5/10. This is a strong position for Simaxon, but also Heisler to be in, as Heisler is sitting right behind the championship leader, as they were the championship contender last time around last season. Zingy 6/10 away from his teammate, 8/10 is Nifo from Simaxon. So the gaps are still strung out. A single mistake could change things definitely, but not really too easy on the battery right now are any of the cars at this stage, so they've all got to be careful. Zingy controls the pace, controls the race. 3/10 ahead of their teammate. Would Nifo consider going for a move to try and make the DRS effect work and slipstream each other? I don't quite know, and it doesn't seem like they do want to, otherwise they would have already overtaken their teammate multiple times in this race. It hasn't happened, and I think it will stay that way. Got some action further behind as Verf and Igor switch positions. Despite having that damage, Igor's still in this race and making it work. They're not worrying about pitting at this stage of the Grand Prix, as they are currently still fighting for a fair few points. Of course, that is going to be Nabil into the pit lane very early on as they go for a fresh set of mediums. I don't really know why that would be intentional, so they must have had some damage right there, and that's a 35-second gap. It is a fairly slow pit lane, as you do have to travel quite slowly on entry and exit, so maybe that's not quite so relative, but I don't quite know. That's going to be Tom Robb going past Liga Pro in the meantime, and Verf trying to make a break for it. Would they be able to secure that break from Tom Robb? It's possible. There's a 3/10 advantage that he has, and it could be his moment to shine. Devon Young and Peanuts, they lose Nabil from this battle. Devon Young gains, however, a 3-second time penalty, the first one of the evening. A very easy circuit to get penalties at. They don't want to get any more of those, because some cars may catch up to them time penalty wise, so they may not be in a bad position right now. That is 8/10 that Peanuts has to Devon Young. Those medium tyres aren't going to be going any faster. Devon Young should start to get nice and fast. Would they be able to catch up to the cars ahead? Well, there could be some battling, there could be some holding up from the medium tyres on those hards, of course. So we'll see how that one goes. Devon Young is still very much in this race, although it does look slightly more difficult. 6 seconds with the train that the cars ahead have got going. That, it just shows how easy it is. That's going to be Nabil retiring from the race in the pit lane. A big shame to see that happen, but yeah, they went for a pit stop, they continued, and then it just didn't go their way in the end. So the first retirement, if you finish last, you still score at least 1 point. That is the situation as of now for this race. Peanut's still close behind, but we're going to have to look at the top battle right here. We've got Zingy leading the way, Nifo, and then the championship leader sitting in P3. Heischler watches behind, just hoping for something to happen. Virtually stuck in this train. They can't really do too much about anything that is ahead of them. DRS is available, lots of ERS to be saved in this moment, and they can really think about the long game in this race, of course, working together with Samaxon as they did in the Netherlands. It didn't quite go their way in the end, but they were definitely in the battle. It's very bunched up now. Zingy holds the pace. They still control it at the moment, but Nifo's very close. Very, very close, and dangerously close. Not because Nifo could go for the overtake on Zingy, but because if Nifo doesn't want to go for the overtake on Zingy, then Samaxon has a free opportunity at going for the move on Nifo. That could definitely change things. Well, what it could either do is mean that Zingy is very vulnerable to the Ferrari, or it could mean that maybe Zingy tries to find a bit more pace in that car and pushes harder and then breaks away, as you just saw. A phenomenal rear lock right there, almost drifting through the corner was Zingy going into the hairpin. They are pushing the limits at the moment on this tyre, and this tyre is going to be pretty hot as well. That is definitely something to consider. It's not going to be an easy race. It never is around this circuit. On controller for Zingy, of course, it is going to be a difficult one. They're in a very different situation. They would also generally have a bit more tyre wear than anybody else. Alrighty. That is the current order. There's a mistake there from Samaxon, who drops back a little bit and gets a threat from Heischler. Heischler, would they try and find a little bit? They're pushing for it. They're going to try and see if it works, but they back off on the energy as they realize they're not really catching enough, as they're just a bit too far away to make any kind of move. They'll have to stay where they are. Samaxon having to recover. They won't be able to make a move this time around on lap 9, as they had to just bring back some ground from earlier on. It's only a matter of laps until their tyres get very, very quick, and they will be trying to push to the lead of the Grand Prix. Of course, there's not really a massive reason to risk too much at this stage, but they may as well try and utilise their strategy while they can, as the top two, they currently have to create a wall, and they will be communicating, so they do have the best chance at creating a wall between themselves to prevent the cars behind from passing. The Mercedes drivers have competed or worked together very, very well in the past to get some incredible results, and making it the most successful team in LSI history. 3 championships for the teams, and of course 4 drivers championships. The first one with Strong, the last one with Nifo, and everything in between with Zingy. Mistake there from Nifo, and the Samaxon's going to be looking to go for it. He was twitchy as well on the exit of turn 5. What's it going to look like for Samaxon? It looks like it's a push, but they have to back off as they realise that Nifo is also going to push. The thing is, when you get a mistake from Nifo, the gap between them and the car ahead does extend a little bit, so they can push on the battery, and all of a sudden it becomes virtually impossible for Samaxon to make a move. Samaxon has to make sure that they don't make mistakes, and they have to make sure that Nifo doesn't make a mistake, and they all bunch up. That's when they want to strike for maybe even a cheeky double overtake. That could be very possible in the modern era of F1 game with the aggressive battery system that we have. DRS available. Would they be going for a move? It would not seem very wise to do so. The top 4 continue on lap 10, ready to start lap 11, and I think it's going to be time to make some overtakes for Samaxon. It's going to be crunch time very soon. Heischler's not going to have too much patience behind as well. They're on the same strategy as the Ferrari, so they want to try and utilise what they can here as well. Not only do these guys have the more beneficial strategy at this stage of the Grand Prix. They don't have to worry about a teammate boxing. Of course, Mercedes do have to try and figure out what's going to happen. Zingy, being the lead car at the moment, would have priority as the general agreement that you see in Formula 1. So we'll see Zingy go into the pit lane at some point and Nifo probably follow on, unless Zingy wants to stay out. That could be something that we look into. Nifo is still there. They do have some Axon going to the inside line to take a quick look, but nothing will happen just yet. The pressure is on. 31 laps in this Grand Prix. There's still a long way to go, and we're not going to see any pit stops just yet, but these cars are definitely slowing up front, and Samaxon has to think about what's going to happen. Heischler, well, they could even jump Samaxon. That could be a hell of a move. Would they even maybe try and go for an undercut as well? It would be risky. It would be difficult on the tyres, considering the amount of lap time that the two Mercedes haven't really gained. I don't think it would be worth actually going that deep into a strategy, of course, on the medium tyre to go long, because that hard tyre doesn't really seem to have the initial pace disadvantage. So I don't think they would really want to bother about doing a severe undercut. But maybe I am wrong. Maybe we could see something happen right there. The Mercedes drivers did manage to break away a little bit and have a decent gap. In the meantime, it's Devon Young who has managed to have their own position in this race. Verth has caught up to Peanuts, who is of course on that medium tyre. That medium tyre is definitely dropping off, that's for sure. We can confirm it elsewhere on the circuit, as you see on your screens. Verth doing a great job. JJ is through, and then the pit stops from Tom, Rob and Igapro. Igapro now with a full front wing, looking for a severe undercut if they can do so on a few cars here in Singapore. Zingy still leads that way, and nothing has happened within the top group. But we do see Nifo so close to the back of their teammate, and they must be in such a difficult position right now. They want to try and avoid colliding with their teammate ahead, who they're just trying to push along the circuit. But they also want to make sure that they stay in P2, not only for their own sake, but to try and make sure that Zingy doesn't get unnecessary pressure as well. They are the lead car at the moment in this Grand Prix, and they want to try and keep it clean to get the best result for the team as possible. And if it goes as it is right now, they would regain the lead of the team's championship. Samaxon is right there though. It's so difficult for these guys to manage. The pressure is unreal. That is a big chunk of curb that Samaxon has just taken. They've got half the battery right now. They have enough to play with, but is it enough to really sustain a good attack? Or would it be an unnecessary one and force them into a very uncomfortable situation that could get them involved in an incident? Maybe even allow Zingy to break away. That could be very interesting for sure. We know that Nifo's very quick in qualifying. We know that Nifo's been very quick so far in this race. They just haven't made the move on their teammates. So Maxon is incredibly close now, and it is crunch time. It's the defensive throw there from Nifo, but Samaxon not quite reading it too well. That is a virtual safety car. That is a virtual safety car. Oh, wow, wow, wow. What have we just seen? Oh, no, no, no. A virtual safety car has been deployed, and it's Igapro who's unfortunately got themselves loss of a front wing. They'll go into the pit lane and they'll lose minimal time with the VSC, of course, but that's not ideal at all. Now, why I was exclaiming so much is that we had a very unfortunate moment, timing-wise, where Samaxon tries to read what Nifo's doing. It wasn't quite so simple. They make very light contact with the back of the Dutchman's car, and just as the VSC was deployed, well, it meant that that contact led to a 10-second time penalty to be given by the game, and that will force Samaxon to serve a 10-second time penalty in this race. I have to be honest with you, Samaxon has been pretty unlucky so far this season. It's going to be Zingy going into the pit lane to try and take advantage, and both Mercedes drivers are going to try and make a pit stop here under the virtual safety car conditions to see if they can take advantage. It's going to be immediately enabled or green flagged, so Nifo is going to lose a lot of time. Zingy's going to lose borderline nothing and actually gain time, so they do gain a massive amount. Nifo still does gain some, so they would probably come out alongside Heischler and Samaxon. I'm surprised that Heischler didn't react to this one. I didn't think Samaxon would want to. They would want to try and stay out and use their hard tyres. I mean, of course, they've still got a long way to go, so maybe it's a silly thing for me to say about Heischler probably going into the pit lane. They're currently on no time penalties themselves, of course, but Samaxon, not really a legitimate time penalty, but because it's so early into the race, they just have to take it on the chin. That's the way the game works. That's the way it goes in racing, as we don't have admin roles in this game to take away penalties. Unfortunately, Samaxon's bad luck continues, and it's not really going their way so far this season, despite being currently the provisional championship leader. Heischler, a big chunk of understeer right there. They've got clear DRS runs at Samaxon to try and make some moves, but Samaxon 6-7 tenths ahead. They are definitely trying to put a statement in, as they did in qualifying, to get that severe advantage. Will they be able to put in a performance of a lifetime right now? 10 seconds. In theory, they would drop to Devon Young, and that wouldn't be easy. We actually want to have a quick look at the battles with the Mercedes drivers, as Zingy is having to go defensive to JJ. JJ has not pitted so far, and they're doing exactly what they need to be doing here to give their teammate the best advantage, and they fought quite hard against the Mercedes, who's on that fresh tyre. A brilliant effort right there from JJ to fight, and they do hold on to DRS range as well, just to help their race a little bit. I don't think they'll have the grip or the performance in those tyres to be able to actually hold on to Zingy and maybe make a move, but the DRS will still lose the minimal time, and they'll be able to get the best result they possibly can in this race. 8 seconds is the gap, of course, between these guys, so that's around about 9 seconds difference. Nifo lost 9 seconds in the pit lane. So Samaxon and Nifo will definitely be in a very similar situation, but I think Nifo will still come out quite far ahead of Samaxon. I think Heischler will be smack bang in the middle of Zingy and Nifo. I think there's a lot of work to be done by Heischler on the medium tyre to try and bring it back. They definitely can do so. They don't go into the pit lane yet. They continue on their way. McLaren looking to try and ignite their championship battle since, well, season 8 that would have been, as they lost out with Philemon to Zingy in the end by 1 point in the teams and by a fair few points in the Drivers' Championship up to the final race. Of course, they were fighting last season as well, so it could be back-to-back victories for McLaren if Heischler can get on that top step in Singapore. That would be a very, very good effort indeed. Now, the last time McLaren did win a title was a driver's title with Zingy himself in Season 5. We're now in Season 14, 9 seasons later, and still no more titles for the Orange team, but a fair few campaigns, 2 or 3, it definitely looked like they were going to give it some good efforts. It was 2 actually, of course, last season, and that Season 8 championship with Philemon, but currently not close enough. Regarding this race, not close enough to make a move, and not close enough to the pit lane window, their desired pit lane window, to make anything of this strategy as of now, but they continue on their way. Heischler gets a 3 second as they do extend track limits, and all of a sudden, despite Nifo losing out, of course, to the pit lane situation, they now have a very good opportunity at making this a 1-2. That's going to be Devon Young into the pit lane. Zingy won't have to clear the Red Bull driver who plonks on those medium tyres. JJ will pass through as they continue to stay out, and this is definitely a look at trying to hold off the Mercedes cars, especially now Heischler has got a situation on his hands. The 16 lap old hard tyres, they continue. We could see Heischler, we could see Samaxon into the pit lane as actually Heischler has made that move, and that is a clear indication at pit lane attempts. As you can see, these cars are also saving the battery in the middle part of the sector to then try and use it at the beginning and the end of this lap to try and abuse the straights and gain as much time as they push for the pit lane. Heischler definitely making it work. They want to be the lead car into the pit lane. It just gives you that little bit more advantage compared to the other car. Samaxon is pretty close, but not in a position to regain that position. It wouldn't really be smart to do so. It wouldn't be smart to lose the car either. Just before they get there, they're not going to go to the pit lane after all. DRS will be available and they'll be able to catch back up, but 7/10. They are crumbling. Those tyres are pretty dead at the moment. 18 seconds Zingy has to these cars, and he will be nicely ahead at this stage of the Grand Prix. They've just got to try and keep it clean. They got ahead of Verf quite nicely. Verf not really fighting it too much. They go into the pit lane in the meantime, as now Nifo is very close to the back of the McLaren. And now I'm very nervous because this could get difficult. DRS available, and Nifo's not caught JJ in a good position. They have not caught JJ in a good position. They're going to have to go through turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 right behind the McLaren, as JJ is so much slower with those tyres. DRS will be available here for Nifo, and it will be a clear opportunity. Do they have the battery to really give it a good shot? JJ's going to be using everything they can as they'll go through turn 6 to 7. It's going to be tight on the inside line, but it's going to be Nifo with the outside line. JJ's going to brake as late as he can on the inside, but it's not going to be enough. And he makes the corner, does Nifo. A brilliant, brilliant move. A high pressure scenario for both drivers, but they get through it cleanly. And now 10 seconds, losing still a little bit of time to their teammate, but not as much as I thought. A brilliant effort regardless from JJ to help out his teammate, and now JJ will definitely be considering going into the pit lane. Peanuts currently P6, and they didn't really get a massive overcut on Devon Young, who they were fighting earlier on. Their tyres will have a lot of longevity, but Devon is going to be looking to try and make that move sooner rather than later. Maybe the inside line will work for him, and it will do so. Is it going to be slowed down enough, though, on the exit, pushing the Ferrari to the limit? And that is a phenomenal move. Will he complete it, though? Peanuts is not going to give in, and they hold the outside line. He's going to have to leave the space, but he is going to have the grip, and that will be the move done. Will they be able to break away enough to be able to secure it as they go down the DRS straight? That's going to be Samaxon into the pit lane, and of course we see Heischler, who will be smack bang. I say smack bang in the middle. They are not smack bang in the middle at all of Heischler, of Nifo and Zingy. They are 2 seconds ahead of Nifo. They're going to have the pace advantage for now, but it's not going to be enough to really catch up to Zingy, I don't think. That 8 seconds advantage they have is a phenomenal opportunity to get this good race result. And now Nifo has really just got to try and maintain the pace, keep it consistent, keep some good laps in to try and bring it back later on that hard tyre. They know that there's drop off, and they know that they can do this. So if they can get within that 3 second time penalty, they might just be able to get that 1-2 that they've been looking for since the start of this Grand Prix. That 1-2, of course, would be very possible with the time penalty situation, but we do have to make sure that it's not going to be so difficult as we saw from Samaxon and Charlie last time around. Of course, Charlie getting a bit of an unfair penalty, and that just made it very difficult for them. JJ sliding all over the circuit right now on those very old hard tyres. They have to go into the pit lane, surely. It's not going to work any other way. Devon Young and Peanuts are going to be catching. It's just going to be a very clean move. They're not going to go to the pit lane, and they're going to continue on their way. It's an interesting strategy. I don't know if they're hoping for a safety car. It could be a valid strategy for sure. There was a yellow flag on Eagle's car a moment ago, but I don't think anything really has come of it. We don't need to worry about it at all, but we will go back to Devon Young and JJ, who will be looking to try and fight for position here, as Devon Young's going to get that DRS. Defensive goes JJ, but he's still on the inside. He's already got the move done before we get to turn 7. Peanuts not quite got an easy situation on their hands, as they've actually lost the position to their teammate, who's on the clearly faster tyre at this stage of the Grand Prix, and trying to make it work after an incredibly unfortunate moment in this race. And now they've got to try and get past the McLaren of JJ on some very old tyres. It's not going to be easy. Would they even try and consider going for it into the hairpin? Would that be a valid move? And they are going to give it a shot, but JJ's going to try and close the door. That was incredibly tight. It was always going to be tight. They thought they would give it a shot, but it didn't quite work out. Samaxon holds on ahead of their teammate, and it's now going to be a possible opportunity at getting it on the exit here. Would they try and push through? Would they try and help their teammate get through as well? JJ isn't going to be able to fight this one, I don't think. On the battery, they get the job done. They'll now have the grip to break away, and I think that's going to be that. JJ surely goes into the pit lane now, but still, they continue on circuit. Here goes Peanuts, DRS, ERS, and that will be surely the move. No battery for JJ, and it is done before the corner in the end. Peanuts trying to hold on to their teammate, but I don't think it's really going to be so simple with the tyre situation that they have. So Max is not going to be pleased with that situation, but they do know they can get pretty close to Devon Young, if not overtake. Now, Samaxon, will they have the pace to try and catch up to Nifo? That's something that we definitely got to consider. Of course, we were thinking about Nifo holding on to Heischler for later on, and maybe having enough of an advantage to be able to make it work. JJ crashes, and that's going to be them retiring. That's going to be a full safety car, and that's P7, well, not P9, it's DNF. A very, very, very difficult situation there for JJ. What a shame to see them out the Grand Prix, but with the tyres that they were on, I am not surprised that they lost the car, and that was in the second sector of the lap, I believe. It will bring Icapro back into this race. So Maxon's not going to be happy because they've served that time penalty. They've lost it to Devon Young, of course, position-wise. 6 seconds, though, to Devon. That's not so simple. Heischler's not going to be happy because now Nifo gets a clear opportunity at making this work. It's going to be pit stops for everyone, and it's going to be mediums for everyone. I say mediums for everyone. It could be an interesting one. Maybe someone tries to go for something a little bit different, but no, I think we'll be absolutely fine. Peanuts does get a time penalty, unfortunately, which is difficult to take. But we're going to have an equal tyre race all the way to the end. Verf puts on those fresh tyres. I hope Eagle's got a fresh set to use, as they once again do have damage to that front wing. So from taking victory in Austria, now currently in last place in Singapore, it's not been so simple. They go into the pit lane. I think they were definitely considering staying out and hoping that the safety car didn't go in so that they could get a lap fresher, but no, I think it's definitely worth just making it safe and staying out. They get the new tyres on. They're going onto the soft compound, so they are going different, and they go for the repair as well. Going different could pay off. They're going to have a lot of grip. Is it going to be enough? Is it going to have the longevity? Looking at the mediums to the hards, it's not going to be ideal, but it could still work. Just maybe, with a little bit of aggression added to the equation as well, it could work out. We're going to remind you of the time penalty situation. 3 seconds for Tom Robb and for Heischler, 6 seconds for Devon Young, and it's 10 seconds for Peanuts there. I don't know if that was speeding in the pit lane or if it was contact under the safety car. I would assume that it was speeding because I don't think they were close to anyone. So that was a tough one, of course. Right now you can hear Zingy trying to burn some fuel in that car. Make it as light as possible so we can throw it around at the end of this race. Really coming alive since they left qualifying. It wasn't looking so easy, and maybe a bit of a slam dunk from Sir Maxon was possible, but ever since, it's definitely proved to be Zingy's advantage. Or even argued that it could have been Nifo's advantage, who was very, very close, but not in a position to make an overtake. I don't think they wanted to really go ahead, because maybe they didn't think that they could lead and make it simple for the car behind, of course. Peanuts goes to serve their time penalty and put on a soft set of tyres. Maybe they can make something work. Maybe they can go for the fastest lap. I think definitely the fastest lap is up for grabs for anyone at this stage. Of course, the safety car restart could definitely still get a fastest lap, as that is Zingy. Maybe just trying to preempt a little bit to see if the safety car does back off as they slow up. And we should see the safety car go in. It could be a late call. There's the confirmation, and Zingy will lead the safety car restart once again in their career. Everyone is incredibly close together. The safety car comes through the final 2 corners. It's going to be a brilliant communication game here between the 2 Mercedes drivers. When will Zingy go for it? And he goes for it already. It's going to be Heischler reacting pretty nicely considering the circumstances. Nifo is going to be close as well. They try and pull to the inside to prevent the McLaren from getting a tow, but it's not going to be possible for the Dutchman to get a move on the other Dutchman, as that will be them staying in their positions. No one will make any moves right now, but we're going to get turn 7 on the way. Here we go. That's a 3-second for Nifo, and it is going to be on track in the end for Heischler. It's going to be on track against their fellow countrymen. It's not going to be so simple. Devon Young holds on to P4. It looked very, very difficult further behind. A lot of racing going on, as that is Igor making the move ahead of Verth on that soft tyre. Peanuts is going to be very rapid. They're going to want to try and make things work, but actually they lose out to Tom Robb ahead. So maybe not really the ideal situation that they're in right now. So Maxon wants to try and get ahead of Devon Young with that 6-second time penalty so they can have a go at Zingy. There's still a way in this race. There is still a long way to go. It's not going to be over just yet. Zingy's got a lot to think about. He's got a few cars behind him, definitely as a buffer to the only other car that doesn't have a time penalty. I say the only other car. We got Peanuts and Eager Pro, who don't have time penalties, or Verth, but they're either last or on a very different tyre situation. That is why I say it that way. Zingy holds on, Heischler 5/10 back, and these guys are all going to be very close in pace with the equal tyre situation that they've got. That is the fastest lap for Zingy, as expected, by going that early, of course. It still could be taken by someone else, but it's not going to be an easy task at all. Heischler holds on nicely. Would they try and put pressure on the Scotsman? I reckon they're going to try and give him a go and force him into a mistake if they can. Here they go. Outside line will be opened up and the outside line will be taken. Zingy is going to back off and let Heischler swoop through. A brilliant, brilliant move with precision. And that is the McLaren leading the Grand Prix once again here in Singapore. And this time it is on exactly the same tyre as all of the cars that are close by. A brilliant, brilliant job. Zingy still has the upper hand on time penalty situations, so they're not really going to be stressing too much about it. They've got their teammate following closely behind. They're going to want to try and work together. Would we see Zingy go aggressive to try and force a move on Heischler and maybe push them? Not dangerously, but maybe just force them a little bit wide so their teammate can come through. Well, for that to happen, their teammate does have to close the gap as well, and currently 6-7 tenths isn't enough. They need to be 4-3 tenths behind to really make something like that work. Devon Young holds on nicely ahead of the Ferrari. The Ferrari can't do anything about what they're in right now. It's so difficult. Heischler makes it their new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and I reckon that could even stick. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to bring that one back, to be honest, as it is only going to get tougher from here on the tyres. An extra point could be guaranteed right there unless somebody goes for a later pit stop, but I don't see why they would do so at this stage. And it's going to be Zingy waiting behind. It's Nifo's job to try and catch up to Zingy and make sure that that gap is nice and close for when it gets to the DRS zones. Turn 7, Zingy probably going to try and go side by side with Heischler, maybe force them into a difficult position and then allow Nifo to get nice and close. That's their best call at making the move, unless they just go for the more conventional strategy by getting Zingy into the lead and then Nifo trying to follow through. Maybe forcing Heischler to be backed up into their fellow countryman, the reigning champion, I should say, as well. Devon Young holding on. They've got Samaxon close behind. But really, there's nothing they can do at the moment. Samaxon having a few signs of crumbling on the later stages of their last stint. It wasn't enough to lose them out too much at all. They were definitely, very unfortunately, plagued by the time penalty situation that they had, and they should arguably be in a better position in this race. But it is what it is. They've got a second chance in this Grand Prix. They've had this before. It was Mexico, and it led to a race victory. Can they do it again? Well, we're going to see an attempt and a move right here, not only from Samaxon on Devon Young, but also for the lead of the Grand Prix from Zingy. And here we go. It is going to be Nifo to try and go through exactly as expected, but it's not going to be successful for either right there. Zingy does get the move on Heischler, but Devon Young stays ahead of Samaxon, and Heischler stays ahead of Nifo. It's close. Nifo is right there, and it's not an easy situation to be in. They could almost make contact through the hairpin, but they all keep it clean. Lap 27 out of 31, and it's a very difficult race. It's a mind game. It's a massive mind game right here. Heischler needs to try and stay ahead, and they'll be good to go, but Samaxon ultimately will be able to make that move. So this is for a net P3 at the moment between Nifo and the McLaren. Making it lap 28 now. Zingy has the upper hand, but they're trying to make it work for their teammate. It is in their best interest for the team's championship as well to do so. So they may as well give it a shot, especially if they're in this advantageous situation. Unless Samaxon was to get some sort of penalty, then it wouldn't change. Unless Samaxon was able to make some progress, then they are going to continue to try and help their teammate out. Would they back up? Well, I'm sure they they're going to definitely be backing up on the battery. As you can see, all of a sudden, Heischler is very, very close. We're going to have a quick look at Peanuts and Tom Rob. I think, unfortunately, we've just missed it, but these guys were going pretty quick, as Peanuts did get their first time penalty of the evening. And then there was a few side-by-side moments, it looked like, as the positions changed. Verf right behind Igor, of course, very close as well. That soft tyre is only going to get slower, and it's going to make some very interesting racing. Of course, Peanuts is going to want to try and hold on, and Tom Rob is going to want to try and get past, and it's not easy in any position on this circuit in Singapore. Zingy holds on. We are now on lap 29, counting down those laps, counting down the opportunities to make an overtake stick. Heischler counting down the opportunities to defend, and they're definitely hoping for this race to be over sooner rather than later. Maxon hoping that this race doesn't end as soon as it's going to race. They want more opportunities to try and make it through, because currently they haven't had an answer, and they're going to have to go for aggression at the end rather than precision in the middle. And once again, we get Heischler backed up into Nifo. They're going to have to go on the attack to really defend, as it's going to be an attacking maneuver, and it's going to actually leave them vulnerable in the end to Nifo. But no, Nifo doesn't have the ability to get the move done. Heischler going slightly to the inside line to prevent Nifo from going for a move, and then it did make a switchback possible. Zingy still holds off on the battery, and they are trying to go nice and slow. Nifo has a lot of battery in the car. This could be their opportunity. They're using it. This is the moment. Heischler's forced into making an overtake. There's contact. There's contact between the two. As Heischler moves across the circuit, Zingy's not going to be happy. Would they try and go for the move? Well, they can do. They go to the outside line. Heischler tries to hold on. They can still go side by side. It's pushy and shovey. It's going to be Zingy to go off the circuit, and they are going to continue in a single file line, but it's going to get very, very difficult. And now the two Mercedes are going to be out for blood. Lap 30 out of 31, the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, and the two Mercedes will blast all their battery to get in front and get the double overtake for Nifo. Is that going to be possible? Is it going to be possible? I say double overtake, it's going to be a double loss for Heischler. Would they give it a shot? Oh, a mistake there for Sir Max on it. No, it's a mistake for Devon Young. Zingy, inside line is available. They are going to go side by side. They're going to try and make it side by side and force it side by side to once again allow Nifo the opportunity to get there, but it's not going to work. Nifo backs off again. Heischler brakes early to allow Zingy to go through, and there's contact, and Nifo is going to be incredibly frustrated. Now, with Sir Maxwell making that move, as Devon Young makes a mistake, Zingy has got to be very careful here. They could lose the victory if they are not cautious, because Sir Maxwell has a very good opportunity. If there is chaos, if there is carnage, it could change. Nifo close, but not making a move still. Is that an attempt and not quite close enough? Or are they confident that they can do it in the final stages? They're nice and close, but they continue to not make the move. That was their opportunity, but they didn't go for it. They hold off behind. Sir Maxon sits in P4. They're not close at all. Do they have the battery to push? I don't think so. They're just hoping that the cars ahead come together and lose out. All three of them. They need all three of them if they want to try and take it from pole to victory. It's going to be Zingy who leads the way on the final lap. Heischler's going to try and get through if they can, but it's Nifo who wants to go for the move, and they're so close. They don't have the utility to go for it. Side by side it will be for Zingy. They're going to go defensive surely, but no, Heischler doesn't need to go for the overtake because Nifo wasn't there. They go for the look to the inside, but Heischler is not spooked, and it's not looking ideal, is it? It is not looking ideal for Mercedes. Heichler might be able to hold on to the podium here at the end of all of this. Zingy holds on. They've got to back up. They've got to allow Nifo to go for a move into the hairpin, or maybe the next DRS straight, but I don't think it's going to work. It's all a little bit too late. Their final opportunities are coming up. This is the penultimate one. Would they send it to the inside line? No. Their final opportunity is finally here, and it will be into the next braking zone, but a mistake on the traction with the tyres, it's not going to happen. So Maxon's going to try and make it work on the inside line to get it on track as they learn their lesson in the Netherlands. It's not going to make a difference. Zingy comes around the final few corners to race it all the way to the end and take victory in Singapore again. 4 race wins in the streets of Singapore. Simaxon does get that P2, and Heichler finishes on the podium. Nifo fought with everything they could, but it wasn't quite enough in the end. Absolutely incredible stuff. Absolutely incredible. I am knackered, and I'm sure all these drivers are as well. Absolutely awesome racing. Zingy takes victory. Nice and clean on the time penalties, and a clean victory to boot. So Max on P2, and it's going to be Heichler with the fastest lap in P3. Nifo, Devon, Iga Pro, Peanuts, Verth, Tom Rob, JJ DNFing, and the Bill earlier on in the Grand Prix. The race director is on your screen right now, and we will be back in a little bit as we go through the pit stop section. We'll go one more time through the incident section and one more time through the drivers. That's been it. We'll see you in a bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone, welcome to the post-race interviews of the Singapore Grand Prix. That was a crazy one from the start all the way to the end. Awesome stuff. Peanuts, that was a difficult one with the time penalties. You managed to stay clean for a long time, but it didn't quite go the way you wanted it to. Tyre-wise, at the end, that must have been pretty difficult, right?
Yeah, it was quite difficult. I made a big blunder going to pits, got 10 seconds, and then I realized that either it's used hards or used mediums or new softs. So I was kind of forced into boxing again if I wanted to have a race, because otherwise I would be just running with 10 seconds on the preferred tire and like lose 2, 3 more positions than what I already did. But it wasn't really a remarkable race from my point of view. I'm mainly just here because I know that people probably miss me in the interviews, and they haven't seen me for like over a month now. So yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Good to see you back, and it's a shame that it didn't go the way you wanted it in the end. But moving on to the next race in Monza. That's a very, very, very different circuit. Do you think you can do well there?
It depends on, I guess, how much training I do for that track and if I have a good setup. Because if I have a good setup, I'm pretty sure probably it's going to be DRS train from last to first. As long as I don't do any big mistake or anybody else does. I think it would be more suit track for me compared to Singapore, only because I mean, no walls to crash into, no stress of always having to be somewhat perfect while keeping the pace up. Yeah, no, so it should be fun. Expecting more there.
Awesome. Well, I hope it goes well there. You say no walls to hit. I have seen Zingy hit a wall and end his race one time there, but we won't talk about that. Anyway, there is an image. If you want to see, just let me know and I'll send it to you.
There's a big difference between me and Siggy, and that's I'm actually good at the game.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Peanuts. Really good effort today. Unfortunate for the ending there, but we'll see you in Monza and hopefully it can be a good result. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
And we move on to Devon. Devon, 6 seconds didn't make it easy. You were there at the beginning and you were there at the end. Definitely showing your face, but yeah, it was a tough one in the middle part. Do you have an answer to what happened?
I wouldn't quite say I was there in the beginning. I think that's kind of where it went wrong. Maybe I was there for a lap on the grid, but other than that, I lost that kind of quickly. I think qualifying didn't go great. I should have definitely been, I mean, just before, just maybe P5, just behind Heischer or whoever's in P4. I think. Yeah, so that was probably where I was aiming to be. Just with that pack, I wasn't worried about being too far ahead of them, but messed up my final run. Well, all of my runs really, and I got jumped by 2 people. So at the start, I feel like I was kind of not really getting stuck behind, but maybe not exactly where I wanted to be. And then in the end, spun, and by that time there was already a bit of a gap between me and Heischer. And with 3 DRS zones, I couldn't really do much to catch up. I tried my best, but they were pushing, I think. So yeah, they kind of just dropped me quite quickly. So the gap kind of increased from there, and then pit stops happened. And yeah, I think a lot of people were doing different strategies. It was hard to sort of say what position you were really going to be in after everyone pit and that. So yeah, I think it was just a bit of a waiting game, and then the safety car came quite late on, which was good, but then yeah, unfortunately I did have the 6-second penalty, which is not ideal. It's unfortunate that I got them, but I think I've been really tired today. I don't really know. I think I'm quite ill, so I'm just sort of losing concentration. Practice wasn't going too well either. I kept invalidating, so I kind of maybe expected to get some like a penalty, maybe not the 6 seconds. That was annoying, but yeah, I think the safety car came and sort of proved that I did have the pace to be with the group, with the top group. But Yeah, unfortunately, I already had the 6 seconds, so I wasn't really going to fight them too much. Maybe I tried to hold on a little bit, but then, yeah, towards the end, I sort of was just thinking there's no point battling because I don't want to ruin anyone's race when I have 6 seconds. So, um, yeah, bit of a crap race, really. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't expecting much. I just haven't been feeling well. But I'm glad I took part in P5. It could be worse. I'm glad I got P5, and yeah, Tom Robb kind of helped me there at the end, increasing that gap.
Yeah, I mean, that's 3 P5s in a row now, 30 points to the
Oh,
championship.
great! Yeah,
It's
that's exactly what I want. Brilliant.
well, look, it could be worse. You still scored a very nice amount of points to the championship, so you know you've kept your nose clean as well. So I think you should be happy with that one. And hopefully it can go well next time with maybe not being ill and a very different circuit, a lot of top speed around Monza. Do you like that?
But I'm trying to think if I have raced Monza on the new game. I think so. Yeah, I suppose it's all right. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of DRS. Well, not a lot of DRS, but obviously DRS is important, and the slipstream. So I think just going to be close. I think. I don't know. This is a crap interview. I'm tired, so sorry.
No
Aaron,
worries.
but,
Get well
I don't have
soon.
much to say.
Get well soon, Devon, and thank you very much. I hope you recover well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we move on to Heisler. Heisler, looking for the second victory in a row around Singapore, I'm sure. It didn't quite go that way with the time penalty. You held on, and you do hold on to that podium. Are you happy with that race?
Yeah, I could have done better with that penalty and in combination with the safety car, but if like the safety car didn't happen, I would probably have been P2. If that penalty wasn't there, I could have won. Yeah, but it's P3 in the end. Overall, the race was good. I was behind Simaxon like the whole first stint, and that was on purpose. I was just not pushing at all, not on the ERS, not on the tires. When they pitted, I still had 20% on my rear, so my hards were still really good, but the virtual safety car ruined my tires a bit. I spun the rears quite a lot because they were cold when the safety car restart was there. So I believe I grained them a little bit or something. At least the tires weren't as they were before. So that was not ideal. I wanted to pit a little bit later since my tires were still quite good in terms of wear. And the chance of me catching up to Singy would have been bigger. But that didn't happen, sadly. If it did, the timing of that safety car would have been probably perfect for me. But yeah, those are ifs, and the medium stint was just trying not to lose the P2 to Nifo. Singy and Nifo really tried everything for me to lose that position, but I think my car positioning was just all the time where it should be. I don't believe I did anything wrong. I had one moment with Nifo where he tapped my rear end going into the fast left-hander, the third corner of sector 2. I'm not sure what corner number that is. But yeah, he tapped my rear there. He didn't expect me, I think, to lift instead of brake there because Singy was on my inside and I was not gonna try and stick it around the outside there. So yeah, he tapped my rear there, but nothing really happened from it. I don't believe he got damage from it either, so we could just continue, and in the end I managed to keep my P2 on track, which is hard against teammates.
Yeah, it definitely is when you've got two teammates very close together that you know are communicating. It's a very, very difficult race to be in. So well done. You did a very good job, and that's a podium to your championship. Monza, do you think you can keep up some good momentum? Do you think you can get your second career win in LSI F1?
It is the track where I got my first actual league racing win. But it's more luck than skill there to win, because it's a bit the same as Austria. It can be chaotic, but I feel like it's less chaotic than Austria. So it's just one of those that you will have to survive again, and I will just focus on probably the race after it, because this race is gonna be just chaotic again.
It could well be, but thank you very much, Heisler. Really good effort today. Well done on the defence and well done on the P3.
Thank you.
And we move on to Nifo. Nifo, such a good effort. First of all, qualifying. Brilliant job right there to get on the front row. And then it was a very long first stint, very pressurised. You had to make the difficult decision to go into the pit lane. Did you not want to consider staying out?
I mean, I think I did everything right in the first stint, and just following. And then obviously the VSC comes out, and we already knew like these guys are not overtaking us, even though their tires were a lot better, which I didn't really understand. So we were just extending, and just making sure that we were on like the objectively better strategy, in my opinion, because the mediums just die after like 5 laps. Like after lap 8, you're sliding around like uncontrollably almost. And I mean, VSP comes out, and then the moment I cross the white line, it says, oh, it's coming in. So yeah, that's great. I'm already not gaining anything, and I'm already being held up by my teammate, so I just lose like 9 seconds. I mean, but I felt I was still fine, you know, like because at the end of it, like Gijs was only 3 seconds ahead of me with a 3 second. Obviously he's gonna gain something, but I knew his mediums are gonna die, so I was probably gonna gain it back, just from practice and just like looking at the pace in general. And Semaxon gets a 10 second, which obviously I don't know how that happened. It's probably not his fault, but every time like I feel like, obviously this is like my feeling, but every time I get damaged or I get an unfair penalty, I never get a safety car. And last season I didn't, this season I didn't, I never get that. But every time I feel like a competitor gets put out the race, there's a lucky safety car with someone in their VC. That's accidental, I hope. And then boom, they're back in the race. It's like, I mean, what can I do? And then obviously I get the time penalty myself. I get the final warning myself. Obviously because I'm pushing, which is obviously my fault. But I feel like every time, like, people get brought back into the race for no reason, and then when I get unlucky, I don't get anything. But yeah, I tried. I mean, I did tap Gijs, obviously, because he just slowed down more than I think was necessary, and then I think he also tapped me in lap 27 when I was next to him. He just turned back to the right, even though I was there. But yeah, I don't know. I couldn't do anything. The only thing I could do was not get that 3 second, which I did, and then that loses me a position. And yeah, that's unlucky, but I mean, what can I do? Like, people get lucky, I don't. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was difficult today. Of course, maybe deserved a little bit more with the pace you had, but it's the way it goes. Monza, lots of DRS. Is it going to be a good race for you? Do you think you could maybe get that 1-2 that you're looking for, even a victory?
If I can get the 1-2 in Monza is going to be very difficult, especially since like the last lap is basically all a brawl. So I mean, I usually have either very good or very bad races there, either DNF or get like top 2. So I don't know. It can go either way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, hopefully you get redemption from last season in Monza. Thank you very much. Good effort today, and we'll see you next time. And we move on to Semaxon. Semaxon, incredibly unlucky. Obviously, you did get to serve that 10 second under the safety car, but it did put you out of that train for a while. That's for sure. Can you take us through your race?
Yeah, so after fumbling my quali lap when I was improving to 10, started first on the hards, had a little fight with Zingy into the turn 1 and turn 2, which I managed to stay ahead, but then the mediums got the temps up and I just let him through. Mm-hmm. Then also Nifo went through, and then it was around lap 5-6 when the medium started to when the medium started to slow down. Mm-hmm. So managed to stay in the DRS, and then on lap 13 I was planning to overtake Nifu, but just a lack of commitment and a little tap to his rear end, which the VSC came in the same moment as the tap, so the game thought that it's a severe collision with the car ahead and just gave me a 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredibly frustrating. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, both Mercedes went into the pits. I was driving with Heisch, who firstly had a good pace, but then his heart started to struggle, as he said. He pitted, so I pitted on the same lap, had to wait those 10 long seconds into my pit box. Went out behind Peanuts and JJ. Peanuts let me through, then JJ, we had a little fight because he's Heisch teammate, so he wanted to give him more time, but managed to somewhat overtake quickly. And I was behind of Devon, but JJ, I think, went into the wall. Another safety car, which really helped me to get back to the top back, pit onto the mediums, again, new mediums, and then driving behind of Devon as he was still in the DRS of the top 4. Had a little slide, and only, I think, on lap 30, Devon touched with the wall coming out of 10-4. So I overtook him on the DRS straight and just trying to stay within the top 3 without getting any more warnings, as I was already on 2.
Yeah, and of course, getting the P2 in the end. You've fought for 3 race victories in a row now and not got any of them, but you've definitely scored a very nice amount of points, and you're definitely in the championship fight. Into Monza, are you confident that you can do something there? Do you think it can go a bit better than today? Of course, it's very rare to see something like what happened today with the safety car.
I think Monza is just DRS trains, and as we know from Austria, DRS trains and me doesn't really work well.
No. It will be a tough one. It'll be a tough one for everyone, but you just got to try and stay clean, as you did with the time penalties, and it can maybe work at the end. Really well done, Samaxon. Really good effort, and well done on the P2, even though I know it's not what you wanted, but still very good effort today.
Thank you.
And we move on to Tom. Tom, that was a tough one, but scoring some points in the end. Can you take us through your race?
Yeah, I struggled so much today. I don't know really why. First in the qualifying, I was 8 slower than I could have been. So that's really annoying. Like P5 definitely would have been possible. And then I'm starting way further ahead and would have had a better chance. So how it was, I was just stuck behind a slower car again. Like I don't know how many races now. So I lost the DRS in like lap 2 or 3. It's just for me like kind of the same race every time. Messing up my qualifying and then losing DRS to the train after lap 2 or lap 3 because I've got just a really slow driver in the first laps in front of myself, which is just really annoying. And then I just struggled so much more with my tires than I did in practice now earlier. Like my mediums in the practice I needed 10 laps to reach 30%, now in the race I needed 8 laps, so that's just so huge of a difference, which made it so much harder for me. Then tried to do a quite early pit stop to the hot to maybe catch up to the others with a really early undercut. Didn't work out really well, unfortunately, and then safety car came out in the end. I was on 30 seconds. Like I knew I had no track limit warning left, so I wanted to stay close and fight a bit with the guys I had. Then I got a completely bad restart, even though I completely guessed where when the new would start. Then it just took me half a lap to lose 2 tenths to the guys ahead, and I was out of DRS range. And from there on, as I've tried to fight myself back in again, I got my next penalty, so I got 6 seconds. And from there on, I knew I would have no chance in comparison to the guy ahead, because as I checked in the safety car, I knew many drivers could have a chance for 3 seconds, but with 6 seconds I didn't have any chance, so I did just what I was possible to do, and what was legal to do to help Devin as much as possible, so I tried to slow down the rest of the pack behind me, who would definitely have at least one penalty less than him.
Yeah, and you did exactly what you needed to do there, so well done, of course, on the Red Bull side for the Teams Championship. So that is definitely a positive, because you both scored the points to that championship. Do you think if you can maybe get a better qualifying position and get further up the field for Monza, do you think that can fix some of your problems?
Theoretically yes, but unfortunately I'm not there, which is really unlucky because I quite enjoy the track, and if you start further ahead in such a TRS train heavy track, the chance are quite a lot higher to finish in a good position, because further down it's just always a bit more fighting, which makes it way easier to lose a TRS train, and if you're like top 5, top 6, it's a bit more focused and a bit less fighting. Just try to keep the S train and get the drivers who are 2 tenths lower lap out of the S range. So theoretically it would help, but like I said, unfortunately I'm not there.
Yeah, that is a massive shame. Obviously, I know how much you like that circuit, but yeah. Oh well, we'll see you in the other Italian Grand Prix, Imola, in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you very much, Tom. Really good effort today, and well done on getting those points for your teammate in the end. And we move on to Zingy. Zingy, that was your 4th win in Singapore, your 3rd championship win in Singapore as well. That was a pretty intense one, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying could have went better. I bottled once again in qualifying because I'm just not skilled enough. And in the race, it was all going swimmingly. We had that VSC go away, well, my way, because Niffle got screwed over a lot by the double stacking, which is still not fixed. Haj was catching. He wouldn't have caught fully because he wouldn't have caught in 6 laps. He would have caught maybe 9 with the trajectory, but with the tyres dropping off, he would have eventually fallen back. And then, of course, JJ crashes. Interesting, that's his teammate, and then safety car comes out, and then unfortunately we have to unnecessarily fight. Niffle gets a penalty. That's just unlucky on his side. And then we could have had a chance at 1-2, but now it's like 1 and 5. So these things happen. I'm happy to win, but I want to see better stuff from the team as well.
Well, you regain the lead of the team's championship regardless, and you do come away as scoring the most points over everyone. So you do still lead in that regard. So well done on that aspect, and well done on the victory, the first victory of the season for you as well. I believe that also puts you in the lead of the Drivers' Championship as well. Monza, historically, not the best circuit for you, although you did manage to do an absolute masterclass previously as well, overtaking, like, I don't know, 2/3 of a grid in 2 corners, or a sector. Do you think you can do well there? How do you feel the ERS system in F124 is going to work out?
I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a good race. I think it's going to be difficult. It's going to be the whole field bunched up into the one small pack, which is going to make strategy very interesting. You can undercut quite a bit and then get into P1, or you could overcut, be behind, and you can work your way through, which is also quite an easy strategy to do. So it's just about finding that fine line, and hopefully, with that said, me and Niffle can hopefully find a way to get through, and hopefully that 1-2 will be there soon.
Awesome, thank you very much. Hopefully you don't hit the pit wall, and we'll maybe see you on the top step again. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. Sorry, I had to rub that one in there. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow for the F1.5 EU Championship around Singapore. We'll see you next weekend for the final race of the first 4 races of the season before the break. That will be the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. An absolutely awesome track. Thank you very much again, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.